Well, in true defence fashion, it is 1300 and we will commence our industry information session. Welcome to the Defence Trailblazer, Accelerating Sovereign Industrial Capabilities Industry Information Session. My name is Ilse Stewart and I'm the Defence Trailblazers Senior Partnerships Manager. Today, I'm joined with my colleagues, Dr. Sanjay Mazumdar, Defence Trailblazers Executive Director, Dr. Margaret Law, Defence Trailblazers General Manager, Technology Development and Acceleration, and Ms. Heather Nicol, General Manager for Workforce Innovation and Culture. Before we begin, on behalf of the Defence Trailblazer, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respect to their elders, past and present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders peoples today. I would like to welcome any other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are attending this session. I will run through the agenda today. We'll give you a quick overview about Defence Trailblazer, our priorities, why we're partnering with University of Adelaide and UNSW, and our current program offerings. We'll then spend the remaining of the time walking you through the ASIC program with Q&As at the end. I'd now like to hand over to Dr. Sanjay Mazumdar to provide an overview of the Defence Trailblazer.
Great, thank you, Ilse. And good afternoon, everyone. What an amazing turnout. I think I'm looking and we've got about 80 plus people and expecting a few more over the course of the next few minutes. So thank you for taking the time and to join us today as we talk to you about our new program offering called ASIC. But before we get into the details of ASIC, I thought I'd start off with a bit about the strategic context, why the Trailblazers have been set up and why the Defence Trailblazer exists. So on your slide there, you can see two images. One is about I guess the genesis of the Trailblazer University program, and that is that as a country, we do really well when it comes to research. We bat above our weight. We're ranked really highly against OECD countries in terms of our research quality and research excellence. And you only need to look at some of the areas like quantum computing or AI, and you'll see that we do really bat above our weight. But where we have fallen down as a country, and we've fallen down over a number of years, is that translation and commercialization of that research into products and solutions that ultimately are commercialized by industry and deliver real outcome and benefit to society and to the economy. So that translation piece is the reason why the Trailblazer University program was established. There are 6 Trailblazers. We are obviously the Defence Trailblazer, but there are Trailblazers in other sectors such as critical minerals, such as food and beverage, such as medical devices, clean energy. And there's a space Trailblazer called iLaunch, and we work collaboratively with all of the Trailblazers, but particularly iLaunch. The other strategic context that's really important is the Defence Strategic Review and subsequent to that, the National Defence Strategy. Now, in the DSR, there are a number of key statements about the importance. I've lost the slides. There are a number of important statements about the importance of innovation in really helping us as a nation and our defence forces deliver asymmetric advantage to the warfighter so that we could stay one step ahead of we're just missing the slide, so just bear with us for a sec. But I'll keep talking. So it's really about delivering that asymmetric advantage, and core to that is innovation. And so the DSR calls out, and hence the creation of entities like ASIC and other entities, calls out the importance of translation of research IP into commercial products and ultimately into the hands of the warfighters, the soldiers, sailors and aviators of the Australian Defence Force. So that's the strategic context, and I guess the reason why we exist as a defence trailblazer. Thanks, Suva. Next slide, please. Excellent. Thank you. So a bit about us. So we are a collaboration. We are a partnership between the University of Adelaide, UNSW, and over 50 industry partners. Our focus, as I said, is really about accelerating the commercialisation of research to help strengthen Australia's sovereign defence capabilities. And how we go about doing that is really through the commercialisation of research at scale and at speed. It is about developing education training pathways to help address both today's skills gaps, but also the workforce needs of tomorrow. It is about helping to fast track entrepreneurs and innovators and their ideas and helping them commercialize those ideas and ultimately get those ideas and get those solutions into the hands of the warfighter. And it's really about how do we build a better way of collaborating between industry, academia, and our end user government. So to deliver on that mission, we've pulled together over $200 million of funding. This is comprised of $50 million through a Department of Education grant, as well as $50 million cash in kind through our two university partners, the University of Adelaide and UNSW. And then our industry partners, our 50 plus industry partners, have invested heavily in our agenda, in our mission. And so over $100 million has been invested by our 50 plus industry partners. And I think that's a huge testament to the importance of the agenda we're trying to strike. What I was just going to highlight is that our priorities. So our priorities are in the areas of workforce upskilling and attraction, and Heather Nicol will talk more to that particular priority. It is in the areas of AUKUS Pillar 2 and the technologies that support AUKUS Pillar 2. And Margaret will talk more about the TDA program, where we are focusing on the AUKUS Pillar 2 areas. It is about the sovereign defence industrial priorities, and that is the basis of ASIC, and we'll talk more about that. More broadly, it's about fostering defence innovation, and it is about enhancing that collaboration between industry, academia, to deliver capabilities to the Australian Defence Force. So with that being said, what I'll do now is, sorry, no, there's one more slide I just wanted to highlight. So I guess the question you might all be asking is why University of Adelaide and why UNSW? Well, I think the key thing for those two universities is that they have a really strong pedigree of working with defence. So they have a history of working with defence and defence industry that goes back many years, and they've delivered real capability that's ultimately been integrated into products and solutions to hand over to the warfighter. To support that, both universities have a number of cleared staff and an increasing number of cleared staff. So this is a count from a little while ago, but over 250 cleared staff at the University of Adelaide, over 50 cleared staff at UNSW, and that's growing. And those people are cleared to varying defence clearance levels. Both universities have a strong DISP footprint. You can see the DISP ratings at the various levels, and both universities are uplifting those DISP ratings as they undertake more and more defence work. So the bottom line is both these two universities, the University of Adelaide and UNSW, have a strong pedigree of working with defence. And so that was the reason that was one of the reasons why the Defence Trailblazer was the successful bid in the Trailblazer University program call for bids a number of years ago. Now, so with that being said, I'll now hand over to Heather Nicol, who's going to talk more about our workforce area.
Excellent. I just wanted to highlight 3 key programs that we're running within the workforce innovation and culture stream within Defence Trailblazer. And that is in the context of there's in the order of 10 or so programs. We've really cherry picked some highlights for you today just to emphasise what's available through the program. Our Student Placements and Projects program first is designed to enable access to the top students at University of Adelaide and University of New South Wales. The program provides generous financial support both to incentivise students, so you are getting the very best of the best. Instead of going to Google, they'll come to your company, and to help offset the costs of hosting students, both the direct and indirect costs. We know that it can be something that you need to invest in. We're positioned to assist with that process. Our staff mobility program, also sort of one of the flagships, enables both inbound and outbound staff mobility. There has been a lot of discussion about this and the importance of it between government, industry and universities. We are doing it. You might do it for R&D collaboration reasons. You might do it to enable access to labs, facilities and infrastructure, whether they're university or industry, or you even might do it for educational collaborations. There's a lot of opportunities in this space. Once again, there are generous funding arrangements in place that covers both salary and non-salary costs, and that can include barriers such as travel or childcare, if that's what's stopping mobility interactions happening. A Protolab network is quite new, quite different, something that we haven't really tried before, but it's coming together incredibly well. The network enables access to university, industry and government facilities, equipment, infrastructure and know-how to assist with activities such as product design, prototyping, test and evaluation and low-scale manufacturing. And all three of these offerings can be wrapped into your ASIC project, or indeed another project if that's where you choose to go from here. On all three programs, more information is available on our website at dtb.solutions or from the project, the partnerships team. Please don't hesitate to reach out if we can answer any questions. And with that brief overview, I'll hand over to Margaret. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Heather. I'm assuming my sound is fine. I'm going to talk about the Technology Development and Acceleration Program. So this is our existing industry academic collaboration activity. And I'm just going to say a few short words and to remind partners or industry or partners that this program is still open and available depending on the nature of your project. Some projects may suit better within the existing program and some may suit better with the ASIC program. So just a few short words. The project that is undertaken is nominated by the industry partner, and the project itself will need to be aligned with one of our 5 thematic areas, which are aligned with the AUKUS Pillar 2 priorities, and those are which you can see across the bottom of the screen. So whilst our project is nominated by the industry partner and supported by the university and academic partners, it's also shaped by Defence. So we get feedback on the proposals from Defence end users and DSTG, and then feed that back into the project team to make sure that the projects that we're undertaking collaboratively align with industry requirements and Defence end needs. With respect to the particular project and how it's executed, there needs to be a role for both the academic and the industry partner. So there's no minimum or maximum role that they perform, but it's a collaborative activity and we want to see people working together. And importantly, it builds on a proven concept. So ideally, we would take a project at around the TRL4 level and then upskill and pull that capability through to the end where we had a concept demonstrator or a product to show. The cash funding, the model that we use to actually finance these projects is slightly different from what you'll hear in the ASIC model. So it again is based on industry cash. So we use $2 of industry cash with which we match $1 of grant cash. There is also involved in all of our projects in-kind contributions from both the university and the industry partner, and sometimes even third parties that come in to make the totality of the project. But what we have is that the funds can be spent in either industry or university. So we have a great deal of flexibility in how we can actually expend the funds that exist within the TDA program. So we can fund equipment, we can fund salaries or indeed facilities, and those facilities can be in the industry partner's premises or on the university site. And it really is all very much driven on what is best for project and best for outcome. There is a lot more information on the TDA program and what the current offering rules and some guidelines on the website. And also as part of ASIC, there is some information that allows you to look at some of the guidelines for TDA against ASIC so that you can understand which program is actually best for your particular industry and your particular project need. So I might leave it there and then perhaps hand back. I believe I'm handing back to Ilse to go from now.
Thanks, Margaret. Okay, so we're all here to hear about ASIC, Accelerating Sovereign Industrial Capabilities Program, not the Australian Securities and Investment Commission. So the Defence Trailblazers ASIC program is an up to $12 million competitive grant fund program aimed to enable faster commercialisation of larger scale defence and research and development activities and collaborations focused on delivering capabilities in the sovereign defence industrial priorities as outlined in the Defence Industry Development Strategy. The reason why we're releasing this now is around the timing with the Defence Industry Development Strategy, the recent Integrated Investment Program, the National Defence Strategy, and the clarity around the federal budget has really dictated the timing of this program. So the objectives of the ASIC program is to enable that larger scale R&D and innovation with a drive for a faster translation into a minimum viable capability. Leveraging existing and/or building on new sovereign defence industrial strengths in areas of strategic priority to meet defence's needs, and to establish new collaborative partnerships with leading researchers and industry partners. Next slide, please. So I've talked a bit about the sovereign industrial priorities, the SDIPs. Now, these 7 defence sovereign industrial priorities were released in late February as part of the Defence Industry Development Strategy. These capabilities and priorities are what defence requires for an Australian defence industrial base. Each of these SDIPs has capability managers and delivery managers. Therefore, the focus on our research priorities for Defence Trailblazer are on these 7 defence industrial priorities. Next slide, please. So Margaret talked about the Technology Development and Acceleration Project Fund. I'm talking about ASIC, and the difference is that we've got a dollar for dollar cash matching funding model. Whilst we haven't stipulated a minimum amount, there will be a preference given to proposals that demonstrate ability to build scale in research and development. The other thing is, to do a research and development project, we really do need a minimum of around $300,000 to $500,000. To give you an idea, with our partners, existing partners, we have a number of partners who are doing projects in that sort of over $1 million scale. We will also favour proposals which include substantial in-kind contributions from industry partners. In-kind contributions can include labour, facilities, equipment, donated items, software licenses, or essential goods and services required to facilitate for the project. The project funds must be spent at least in one of the universities, and that's the University of Adelaide or the University of New South Wales. to undertake the research and development activities required by the project. Relevant university in-kind will also be contributed to the project. Next slide, please. So what can be funded under the ASIC project? The ASIC program funds research and development at one or both of the Defence Trailblazer universities, the University of Adelaide or the University of New South Wales, including university staffing, access to facilities, fees related to using university equipment or travel costs relating to moving equipment to testing sites, the purchase of new equipment at the university for your project. But I do have to note that purchasing assets or equipment over $50,000 does require a Department of Education approval. Funding cannot be used for in-house or industry at the industry partners R&D, including in-house labour, facilities and/or equipment. Access to Defence Trailblazer's workforce skilling and attraction initiatives, including student projects and placements, Protolab Network and Staff Mobility Program, is also available and highly encouraged to be included in project process. This could look like including a student intern or a group of students under the Student Placement or Projects Program, through the Staff Mobility Exchange, whereby industry staff could undertake a university placement or exchange to work on your project at the university, and this salary could be covered through a 50-50 costing model. We also have access to our Protolab network, a network involving industry facilities, university and CSIRO equipment, infrastructure and know-how to support design, prototyping, test and evaluation, and low volume manufacturing activities. Next slide, please. Okay, the requirements. Projects must be closely aligned with the sovereign defence industrial priorities outlined in the Defence Industry Development Strategy, with a clear end user and customer identified. Proposals must demonstrate a strong collaborative team to deliver a larger scale project. As I've already said, there's no minimum grant amount, but preference will be given to proposals that demonstrate that ability to build scale in research and development. It's also envisaged that successful projects will develop a minimal viable product or a demonstrator or proof of concept, including a laboratory validation or early stage prototype. And successful participants and existing partners will have access to the Protolab network. And that will help provide the necessary facilities and equipment to help transform early stage ideas into more refined prototypes or MVPs. Once projects have been selected, there'll be a maximum of 6 weeks by which a formal contract must be executed. All the arrangements may be terminated, and all projects must be completed by December 2026. In-kind contributions will be considered in the evaluation criteria assessment. And I've gone through that already. Next slide, please. Sanjay has already spoken about the history and pedigree of the University of Adelaide and UNSW working with and in defence. For those who don't have linkages into the University of Adelaide or UNSW, Defence Trailblazer Partnerships team can help you with those introductions and matchmaking. This slide is a representation of our key university expert researchers and theme leads we have been working closely with Defence Trailblazer's partners on R&D projects today. The Defence Trailblazer is a real partnership between these two universities and our partners. And with the new SDIP priorities, we're here to assist you in finding the right expertise and capabilities from either or both of the University of Adelaide and the University of New South Wales. Next slide, please. So our evaluation criteria is already on our website and in the program guidelines. But just to run through it again, our projects will be assessed against the following criteria. Strategic alignment. They must be closely aligned with the SDIPs outlined in the Defence Industry Development Strategy, with a clear end user identified. Impacts. Projects will develop a minimal viable product, a demonstrator, a proof of concept, or a laboratory validation or early stage prototype. We would really like to see an impact in regional Australia, such as working with regional partners, students, suppliers, or have an established regional facility or office. Projects we'd like to see will have an involvement of recruitment and development of staff to undertake the research. And under utilisation, again, having a clear end user and a clear commercialisation path. Under research, we have already emphasised this collaborative projects involving multiple partners and or diverse businesses bringing together high quality teams will be preferred. We want to see research with high quality research outcomes as an objective. Building and developing and the attraction and retention of talent for an advanced technology workforce and Australia's defence industry future. And under project management, we want to see a well-developed project methodology, defining the strategy, milestones and budget, including a well-developed risk and opportunity assessment. Budget representing value for money, leverage with investments of both cash and in-kind by project partners. And as I've said, preference will be given to proposals that demonstrate ability to build scale in R&D with a stronger weighting given towards SMEs and multi-party project proposals. That does not exclude primes applying. And Defence Trailblazer can assist in finding appropriate capabilities at university and existing industry partners. Okay, to summarise, next slide, please. It's a competitive grant program, up to $12 million funding available. EOI application forms are online and it's open now. The EOIs will close at midnight on the 10th of July. Projects must be aligned to SDIPs, dollar for catch matching, collaborative projects between industry and either or both University of Adelaide and UNSW, and the R&D must be undertaken within the universities. And projects, we want them to commence in Q4 2024. And that's the end of my presentation. We have all of our information on the Defence Trailblazer website. You can see that on the screen or QR code it. The contact details for the partnerships teams is there at partnerships@dtv.solutions. And now we'll open it up to Q&As. Is there a capability manager already assigned to each of the SDIPs? Yes, according to the Defence Industry Development Strategy, that is already been assigned. Are other universities eligible to participate, if not on their own, but in collaboration with an industry partner? Sanjay, did you want to answer that?
Yeah, sure. So certainly the primacy is with the University of Adelaide and UNSW. And that's primarily because they have invested so heavily in the Defence Trailblazer, as I mentioned before, $50 million of cash and in kind. But there is an opportunity to bring in third parties, which could include other universities. In our existing TDA program, we do have some projects where we're looking to loop in other universities as well, but there will always be a UNSW or University of Adelaide element to that.
Stage, we don't have any other questions. If you want to put them through the Q&A.
There was one, sorry to jump in. There was one also about CBRN, and Richard from our team has actually answered that. So what I encourage people to do is to have a look at the details in the SDIPs. Sitting underneath the tagline, the top line, battlespace awareness or sustainment and enhancement of combined arms land system, there are a number of more granular capabilities. So as you're thinking of your projects, I encourage you to have a look at those more granular capabilities, because that'll perhaps inform the sorts of areas that will be prioritised. So thanks, Rich, for answering that question.
Another question is the project to be conducted within the University of Adelaide, UNSW, and/or Protolab network only? So the projects must be conducted within either or both the University of New South Wales and/or University of Adelaide. The Protolab network is a network of facilities. So work could be undertaken as part of the project, but the lead partnering university must be either UNSW and/or University of Adelaide. Can the project involve HDR students or postdocs or limited graduate? Could I ask Heather or Margaret to answer that one?
So the project is not just limited to graduates or is not just limited to research associates. So it can involve HDR and postdoc students. There is some challenges, and I'll let Heather talk specifically about masters versus PhDs, but a project that utilises those resources does make for a well-rounded project, and it's something that we do actually encourage. Heather, do you want to talk about masters and PhD students specifically?
Can do. Thanks, Margaret. I would absolutely say postdocs are well and truly can be part of your project resourcing plan. We would love to see that. On the HDR student side, we're talking Masters by Research, Masters of Philosophy or PhD here. We are coming to the end of the period where we can admit PhDs and obviously get them well and truly underway before Trailblazer finishes up in 2026. So we are focused on Masters by Research or Masters of Philosophy students at this point in our program. Having said that, of course, a Masters is a pathway to a PhD, so please don't consider that a blocker.
Okay, the next question is, what is the IP ownership model for programs? Under the ASIC program, the default position is that the IP will be industry owned. For ASIC projects, what proportion of funds must be spent at the university partner, staff, facilities, equipment? Could I ask Sanjay to answer that one?
Yeah. So I guess obviously it depends on the size of the project in terms of the actual quantum, but the intent with ASIC is that the project work is done at the two universities. So whether that be funding completely of university research staff, etc., or as Heather spoke to, the staff mobility program, where we have an industry staff member who does a mobility into the university to undertake aspects of the project. But the work is done within the university, so the funding does go to the university, I should say. Just on funding, there was another question around whether it is 12 million per project, up to 12 million per project, or 12 million total. It is 12 million in total, up to 12 million in total. So, you know, obviously that will sort of cap the number of projects we are able to support through the ASIC program.
Thanks, Sanjay. The next question is around TDA. Is there an application date or is the program being phased out? Margaret, could I ask you to answer that one?
So there is no application date or being phased out with the Technology Development and Acceleration Project. So it will continue to sit alongside the ASIC project. We will at some stage have to close off when we have fully expended all of the project funds associated with the TDA program. But at the moment today, we are still working with industry partners to plan and execute projects under the TDA program, because it does have certain benefits for certain kinds of projects depending on what the industry partner's preference is.
And the next question is, how do we approach universities to gauge interest in proposals? My answer is, please come through us, through the partnerships program and the team, and we'll help link you in to the university to gauge their interest. We're happy to do that from now. Okay, the next question is, what is the span of battle space awareness? Does it include space domain awareness? Could I ask Sanjay to respond to that one?
Yeah, sure. So battle space awareness is quite a broad church of capabilities, and one of the specific capabilities that is called out is they call out integrated sensor networks for persistent surveillance of space objects and phenomenon that can be certified and operated as part of global network shared with our trusted partners. So I haven't memorized, I'm just reading from the STIP as we talk now. So it does definitely reference elements that are what we call space domain awareness. It doesn't explicitly use space domain awareness as a term, but if you read through STIP 6, which is the integration enhancement of battle space awareness and management systems, it does cover elements of space as well as elements that relate to all source intelligence and a bunch of other areas, sensors, payloads, etc. So quite a broad church in that regard.
Okay. With the R&D work conducted by the universities, where will the IP ownership reside and what will be the licensing arrangements? I'm going to ask Margaret maybe to answer that more broadly, because I think it depends on the individual project.
So this is similar to a question that came up before. So our default position is that we start with is that the project IP would be owned by the industry partner, but that then is also predicated on what background IP is actually being brought into the project. So there is an expectation that there is respect for that background IP. And if that is very heavily biased towards the university, then there would need to be a licensing arrangement put in place for that background IP. But often, and what we have for many of our projects today, is much of that background IP is actually predicated on work that goes to the university. So in that case, enhancements to background IP remain with the owner of that background IP. So there is a degree of case-by-case negotiation, but our preference is to have the intellectual property residing within the industry partner, and so that they can execute and then deliver capability.
I think Ilsa's actually losing her voice, so what I might do is I might actually take over the question Q&A session, if that's okay with everyone. There are a bunch of questions in there, not unsurprisingly, about IP and commercialisation. I think we've covered those off, but by all means, if people do have follow-up questions, we have covered a lot of that in our FAQs. And if you have more specific questions, by all means, reach out to the partnerships team. Just scanning through, there was a question in there about the Protolab network and where that resides. So as Heather mentioned before, we have a broad range of equipment and facilities that sit under Protolab, some of which are at the two universities, some of which are outside the two universities at organisations like CSIRO and others. So it really depends on what capability you're looking to access as to where it sits. Once again, we've got further information on Protolab network up on our website as well. So I encourage you all to have a look through there. Just seeing if there's any other questions. Sorry, I'm scanning through
There's one
live.
question around, please confirm that the total funding for this round is 12 million.
Yes,
It is
so
up.
it is. Yeah,
Yep.
up to $12 million is
$12
available in the ASIC program. That's correct.
Cash.
I think we have pretty much answered all the questions. What I might just suggest, if I've missed any of those, maybe if you do want to come off mic and just ask it verbally, if you're comfortable doing that. Otherwise, by all means, feel free to send us an email afterwards. There was one question about whether the slides will be available. I'll perhaps defer to Ilse on whether we're sharing these slides, but what I will say is that all of the information that we have presented today is in the various guidelines and FAQs and that are on the website under ASIC, so dtb.solutions/ASIC. There is additional information that is available in those slides for example, as Margaret mentioned, there is a comparison between TDA and ASIC. So as an industry partner who's currently looking at TDA project, you can have a look at that to work out what makes best sense for you and your business.
Sanjay, we are expecting to have a copy of this recording online on our website.
Okay, thank you.
The slides.
There is an important question, I think, that's just popped up. It was mentioned that we need to have a clearly defined end user and customer identifier. Is it expected that industry will need to facilitate this connection, or is there something that ASIC can assist with? I think it's a bit of both. Like some of the industry partners already have that. They have a really strong connection to the operational end users, really strong connections into DST. And where that exists, by all means, bring that into the proposal as well. Where you don't have that, we do have really strong connections into that same cohort, and so we can help identify, well, the capability manager or the service innovation unit that we need to discuss this project with is XYZ. By all means, reach out to us once again if you don't have that connection. We can help facilitate that. And a number of our academic leads have really strong connections into the defence community as well. So the short answer is that will definitely be an important aspect, but also something that we can help facilitate with as well. All right, I might defer to Suba because I know she's monitoring things. Have we got any other last minute questions that we need to cover off? Good. Okay. So it sounds like we've covered off all the questions that have been posted. Once again, I do encourage you to have a look at the documentation of this online. We've sort of road tested it with a number of friendlies to sort of see what questions might pop up. So it's quite comprehensive. But by all means, and we will also regularly update the FAQ as well as more questions arise that we haven't thought of. So keep monitoring that. And by all means, reach out to the partnerships team. So has posted the email address there, partnerships@dtb.solutions. So with that being said, I don't want to keep you longer than necessary. I think we have covered all the information we wanted to cover. I think we've answered all the questions that people have posed. Thank you once again for dialing in today. It was great attendance, and I hope to see a number of project proposals from you coming through the ASIC program. So thank you.